So this practice is meant to awaken the body, and our focus specifically today will be on the feet and legs. So I'm going to have you start on your back. If you need a blanket under your head, you can grab a blanket or a pillow. As you come down onto your back, you can have your feet be a little bit further away from each other, so outer hips distance apart, and then let your inner knees come together to touch. Arms can rest down by your side, or you could even let your hands rest on your body. And use these first few moments as a way to arrive, letting your presence land in your body. Even feeling that contact that your feet make with the ground. Maybe letting that be a specific area of focus. You could even lift and spread your toes or wiggle your toes. Maybe noticing where you feel the weight of your body or the placement of your feet here, either inner edge of the foot or outer edge of your foot. Do you feel like you're more connected through the heel or through the toes? And see if there's a possibility of really feeling the whole surface, the sole of your foot making contact with the ground. And then where you feel that contact, maybe specifically pushing slightly down into your heels. Letting that rebound of energy travel up the length of your legs, so through your calves, your shins, up to your knees, down your thighs, and then to the bowl of your pelvis. Then you can let your feet come closer together here. You can draw your right leg into your chest. Clasp your hands behind your right shin and extend your right leg up to the sky. And if you want, you can keep your left knee bent or extend your left leg out along the floor. And start to circle your right ankle. So drawing little circles with your toes across the ceiling. You can do a couple of circles in one direction. And as you do that, maybe noticing what muscles contract or engage throughout the rest of your leg. And then draw your circles in the opposite direction. And then flex and point your toes. Good. And then lower your right foot down. Just place it down next to the left. See if you feel a difference from right to left. And then we'll switch sides. You can clasp your fingers around your left hamstrings. You can even keep a little bend in the knee or a big bend in the knee if that's what you got. Right leg can stay straight, or you can keep the right knee bent. Right, so then start by drawing those circles with your toes across the ceiling. And as you do that action, maybe trying to smooth it out, really letting that circle be relatively smooth. Notice any muscles engaging as you look up at your left leg through the shin, maybe feeling it through the calf. Change the direction of your circles. then flex and point your foot. You might feel the calves engage as you flex through the heel, really pressing the heel up towards the ceiling. And then lower your left foot down. And extend your left leg out along the floor. And then gently let your right knee come out to the right. So any amount, just letting your right leg move from side to side. So right knee comes out to the right, and then maybe you let the right knee gently cross the left leg. And you can keep this going if you'd like, or start to open up this movement through the whole right leg. So maybe drawing that right knee up in towards your chest and then making a big circle with your right leg. Oof. Good. And you can go in a couple different directions, just letting your awareness and breath kind of hold space in your body at the same time. Maybe even letting that right leg straight and then really bringing in a bigger movement, noticing that whole range of motion your right femur bone has. There might be some cracks and creaks in there, that's okay. Good. And then release your right leg next to your left. And then bend your left knee. Let your left leg come out to the left and then over to the right. And you're really just kind of shifting the weight to the inner edge of your foot and then to the outer edge of your foot. And you can just keep this going for the whole time, or if you want a little bit more movement, you can bring your left knee in and maybe start to circle your left thigh. Just moving it in any way that seems like it's coming from an internal impulse. You can keep the knee bent, maybe extend the leg and just kind of see what range of motion you have in that leg. Again, that cracking is probably there. That's okay. And it doesn't have to be this quick either. You could slow the movement down entirely, or you could keep it closer into the body. But just let it be an exploration. Good. And then lower your left leg down. Then notice what you feel here. You can bring your feet together, your legs closer together. And then where you feel your heels pressing into the ground, you're just going to like push your feet forward and back. So you're kind of giving your whole body this sensation of kind of shaking a little bit. So just pushing your toes, maybe going rapidly, maybe slowly. So starting to awaken now the whole body, not just the legs, not just the feet. Do that a few more times. You can go at your own pace. Good. And then bring your legs into your chest. You can take hold of the backs of your thighs and start to rock up maybe to your seat. And then you're going to rock down. Do that a couple of times. And if this is too much for your back or lower back, you can always roll to one side and come up. And so then one more time. Good. And come up to your seat. So sit comfortably. If you need to find a chair to do this in, if sitting on the floor doesn't really work for you, that's an option that'll work just fine. I'm going to have you take your right foot here. We're just going to do a little foot massage. So you can massage the sole of your foot, just kind of working through the arch. You might find some tender, sensitive places as you do this. Good. Maybe getting into the heel. And then then I'm going to have you take your left fingers and you're going to slide your fingers between your toes. And then you can just kind of move your fingers side to side, kind of back and forth. Kind of like you're clasping your fingers through your toes. You can make any movement you want there. Great. And then take your right hand, thread your fingers to the front of your toes. And you probably won't be able to get all the way between, and just like kind of make little toe fists. Curling your toes around your fingers. Maybe a little side to side. And then release. And we'll do the second foot. So you can massage the sole of your foot, maybe finding any little tender places. Good, and then you can thread your right fingers from underneath your foot through your toes, and then you can shift your toes from side to side. Maybe a little back and forth. Good, and now you can remove your right fingers, take your left fingers from the front, thread them through your toes, and then forward and back, maybe making little toe fists with your left toes. Good, and then release. All right, from here I'm going to have you come to stand. I'm just standing on your refreshed feet here. Let your legs be inner hips distance apart. And see if you can shift the weight of your body kind of all around the points of your feet. So back towards your heels, maybe a little bit more towards the front. Maybe feel your toes grip as you do that. Maybe to the side, other side. And then see if you can really send the weight back into the heels. Let your knees be soft. And you should be able to pick up your toes off the floor so your toes are light. And as you press down into the heels, really shifting the weight back into the heels. Feel the sides of your ribs move back. And then head is aligned over the shoulder girdle. Shoulders are over your hips and pelvis. Good. So now if you need to just take hold of the wall for some balance here, feel free. You're going to take your right foot back slightly. And you're going to kind of roll through your ankle here. You might come on to the top of your foot. And you can roll your ankle in one direction and then the other. And you might start to notice how your foot, the movement of your foot, your ankle is related to the movement of your knee. Your knee is related to the movement of your hip. And then lower your right foot next to your left, or if you happen to do the left first, that's fine. And take a moment, notice what you feel through your right leg. To me, I feel like my right foot is just, it's heavier. Feels like it's making more contact with the ground. My toes feel like they're spreading wide. and I almost feel like I can really feel the big toe mound, the center of my heel, and even my pinky toe mound really pressing down. All right, we'll do the second side. Again, if you have to take hold of the wall, feel free. And then take your left foot back, and then you can come forward onto the foot, just kind of rolling through your ankle. Don't worry so much about making this look a certain way. It's just kind of exploring the movement there. And try not to be hypercritical about what it should be or shouldn't be. And then as you're doing this little action, you notice, right, toes and ankle, foot are connected to the movement of the knee. The knee is connected to the movement of your hip, your femur. And you just kind of feel that relationship between the toes and the pelvis. And then go ahead and bring your left foot back to meet your right foot. Now see what you feel through the second side. Maybe a little bit more contact with the ground. Maybe a wider base through your feet is apparent. From here, I'm going to have you come to the top of your mat. You can bring your hands together in front of your heart and take that hips width distance with your feet. Again, weight is back through the heels, toes are soft and light. And on your next inhale, sweep your arms up overhead, really stretching and reaching through the fingertips. And then as you exhale, start to fold forward. Your knees can bend, maybe bringing hands to the ground, or if you have blocks, and letting your head go here. Inhale, halfway lift, so palms can come to your shins. And then as you exhale, plant your hands down, step your feet back, come into downward facing dog. And here you might be on the balls of the feet, so it just depends on what you got going on in your hamstrings. So if you have to lift the heels away from the ground, that's fine. Maybe you're able to reach your heels towards the floor. Maybe even they might even touch the ground here. Push your hands forward and down as you root your thighs back. Ribs lift. And come forward to tabletop. And then you can walk your knees back a little bit so they're behind your hips. And from here, you're kind of at the top of a high push-up. Toes can tuck under to support you. Good. Press down into your hands, and then as you exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. Now, tops of the feet are pressing firmly into the floor. Bring your forearms out in front of you for a Sphinx pose. So elbows are in front of the shoulders, forearms are parallel. You could even take your forearms more like on a diagonal if you prefer. Good. And then maybe walk your legs back just so you feel the inner thighs rolling open, outer hips pressed down. Feel some tone through the quadriceps as you root through the tops of the feet. Notice the action of pressing through the tops of your feet all the way up into your quads, maybe your glutes. Then slide your hands back underneath your shoulders. Turn your toes under. I'm going to have you come up to tabletop. Good. And now stretch your right leg back behind you. Press through the heel to really feel some extension through your right leg. Good. Take your left hand a little bit forward in front of your left shoulder. Spin your left shin out. Sorry, to face away from the camera. The sole of your right foot touches the ground, and then you reach your right fingertips up. Now spin your right palm to face Forward, overhead, and reach your right fingertips by your right ear. Good. Let your right hand come down, your right knee comes down. We'll switch sides. So take your left leg out, press through your left heel. You can spin your right shin out to the right, and then turn so that you're on your right hand. Your left foot is parallel maybe to the back edge of your mat. Left arm comes up, and then reach the left bicep by your left ear. Stretch. See if you can press the whole sole of your foot down into the ground, and then feel that connection from your left foot all the way through your left fingers. Good, and then come back to tabletop. Right, I'm going to have you spin so that you're facing the long end of your mat, and then come to kneeling. You can face forward just so that you have the expanse of your mat. So take your right leg out to the right. You're going to turn your right toes out, and you're kneeling on your left leg. So you could play with the placement of your right foot here. It can either be directly lined up with your left knee, or it might be a little bit more in line with the middle of your left calf. It might even be towards the front of your mat here. Good. You can bring your hands to your hips to start, really pressing down through your left shin. Press down into your right leg and almost see if you could feel your right heel drawing back towards your left knee. Bring your right forearm to your right thigh, and then stretch your left arm by your left ear. So continue to dig into your right heel, keeping that right knee aimed towards the top of your mat if possible. And on your next inhale, bring your arms back up through center, really extending the arms out. Maybe look over your right fingertips. Good. Lower your hands to your hips. Bring your right knee in line with your left, and then take your left leg out. If you find that you have sensitive knees and you need an extra cushion, you can use a blanket or even roll up your mat and fold over your mat so that it's not so hard on the knee. And then find that position of your left foot so that it feels like it's the most supportive for your leg. And then press down into your right shin. You can bring your left forearm to your left thigh, and then reach your right arm overhead. Stretch your right bicep by your right ear. Feel the action of pressing down into your left heel, and then there's this energetic connection of moving the left heel towards your right knee. Good. And then bring your left knee back in line with your right. From here, you can roll over your feet or come to stand facing the long end of your mat here. And then step your feet apart wide. All right, so pinky toe side of your feet can be parallel to the edge of your mat. Hands can come to hips. And now as you press down into your feet, kind of notice what your tendency is here. Do you tend to kind of just let your ankles roll out to the outer edges of your mat, or do your ankles roll in? And can you see if you can find like a really solid connection where you're pushing down through, right, the big toe mounds, pinky toe mound, and center of your heel. And now as you feel that action of pressing into your feet, firm your quadriceps, lift through your heart, and then as you exhale, you can fold forward over, hinging from your hips. Hands can come down to the ground or blocks or even a chair seat, and then let your head go here. Continue to feel, right, the placement or the way that your weight is dispersed on your feet, and try to seek out some sense of balance. And on your inhale, you can look forward and then toe heel your feet together. Bring your hands to your hips Elbows point up towards the ceiling. Root down into your heels and come all the way up to stand. And you can release your arms by your side, or if you'd like, you can bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. You're also welcome to close your eyes here if that helps your focus, and then direct your attention back down to your feet. Now we did just that little bit of movement. See if you can find that steady, solid connection through the legs all the way down to your feet. And then if there's one quality that is present for you that describes what you feel, hold that in your mind's eye. I hope this practice provided a sense of grounding, like using this awareness of your feet as a way to physically anchor yourself to a quality that feels more present and aware. And thanks for being here.